Loner wants us to cause a distraction. I suggested stripping Saltzpyre naked and hanging him from the city walls, but apparently that was a bit too much. Instead, we're going to ring the bells at the Temple of Sigmar. Oh well, maybe next time. Alicia has gone into Helmgart to spy on the Ratmen, and we're to create a distraction to make her life easier. So, off to the Temple of Sigmar we go to ring out the bells. What can possibly go wrong with that? How long have you got? The Packsworn are causing mischief in the Mayfly Hospice, presumably because picking on those who can fight back is beyond their meager reserves of courage. Isn't it a shame that we're onto them? If ever there was a place that shouldn't stink of dark magic, it's a Shallian Hospice. What are the Packsworn up to down there? Ugh, I suppose there's nothing for it but to go and take a wee look and remonstrate, where appropriate. Is there no end to the Northlanders' vile deeds? Trolls are foul enough without anyone splicing them with sorcery or demons or whatever madcap scheme they've settled upon. They'll all have to die. What a shame. What a terrible, terrible, terrible shame. The Northlanders are breeding trolls down in an abandoned mine. Full points for ingenuity, if not for taste. Still, we can't have the brutish things wandering around, can we? The hard part will be to stop Gorikson cooking the remains. Mark my words. A rotblood sorcerer is making trouble in Helmgart. I'd say the town's beyond saving anyway, but Loner, foolish mayfly that he is, doesn't agree. I suppose I could sit this one out, but the others would only get themselves killed. Loner's spinning a tale of a rotblood sorcerer making trouble in Helmgart's ruins. I have generously decided to go along and end the Scunner's foul existence. Someone's got to show the Mayflies how it's done. Mother Alicia's Bridge of Shadows is experiencing problems. She's tracked the interference back to the ruined temple of Athel Yen Louis, and we're to investigate. I wonder if it'll feel like being back home. As if I care. The Bridge of Shadows isn't working as it should, so Alicia wants us to head to Athel Yen Louis and put an end to the interference. I don't know that I want to go. Too many memories waiting to be stirred up, too many regrets. The Ratmen have raised a bell on Helmgart's walls. Might be a screaming bell. It might not, but either way I agree with Loner. The Scunnered thing will have to come down, if only so we can have a little bit of peace and quiet. There's a warpstone bell up on Helmgart's walls, and that's no good for anyone. It's even giving the mayflies sore ears and I've a headache fit to crack a stone. So, there's nothing else for it. We'll have to teach the Ratmen the value of silence. What if a handful of mayflies have gotten themselves trapped in Fort Braxenbrücker? Well, it's hardly my concern. Or it shouldn't be. But if I don't agree to go, Loner will try that reverse psychology of his again. And the poor man looks so pathetic I'll start laughing at him. Again. A mayfly fort is under siege by the Packsworn. I keep telling Loner that we're not exactly short of mayflies, but he insists we help the defenders out of the mess they've landed themselves in. I suppose it's as good a place as any to make partial amends for Hogger's Bridge. The dwarfs, alas, have allowed the hold of Carrick Null to fall into Skaven hands. Careless. Very, very careless. So it's up to us to set matters right and issue notice of eviction inked in Ratman blood. Another one Gorikson's going to owe me, but who's keeping count? Apart from me, obviously. Dwarf holds attract all manner of vile, squalid creatures with aspirations of competence. Starting, of course, with the dwarfs themselves. Carrick Null, however, lies in the hands of a Skaven warlord who needs to be quietly dislodged from this sphere of existence. The Pact Sworn can't handle a proper fight, so now they're going after terrified peasants. Worthless scunners. I suspect we'll get there too late to do much good, but we can at least register our disapproval in the severest of terms. The Pact Sworn are terrorizing the farms around Usingen. As much as I've little sympathy for mayflies who can't be bothered to learn to wield a sword, I find it all strangely annoying. Still, I'll feel better when the blood starts flowing and the screaming begins. The Rotbloods have seized Usingen, even now using the Baron's manor as a storehouse for their plundered provisions. That's right, everything's in one place, just waiting to be burned, blown up, or otherwise spoiled. This one ought to be fun. It would appear the Northlanders, having a slender grip on practicalities such as logistics and provisions, have filled the Baron's manor to the rafters with food supplies. Can't have that, can we? It'll all have to burn. The Rotbloods are digging around in the swamp. Now, you'd think it's the best place for them, and you'd be right. But Loner says they're looking to harness the power of an ancient monolith. Can't have that. We go to the nicest places. This time, it's a swamp, where the Rotbloods are excavating a vile and ancient idol. Well, I suppose we'd better do something about it. Otherwise, I'll never hear the end of it. At least it can't smell worse than the dwarf. Bird var Ribspreader. Bird var Ribspreader! For that name alone, he deserves to die. Ugh, and die he will. Not for his ridiculous name, more's the pity, but for trying to locate Talshorn Keep. We can't have that, so let the bloody remonstration begin. The Northlanders are very unhappy with our recent deeds. It's so nice when one's efforts are appreciated, don't you think? Their chief, with the ridiculous name of Bird var Ribspreader, is looking for our keep. Well, he'll have to be dissuaded. Permanently. The Ratmen are using one of their vile contraptions to keep reinforcements flooding in from the frozen north. And I, for one, am quite sick of it. So, we're going to go up there and ask them politely to desist. And then we're going to break their toy into little pieces. If Loner's to be believed, the Skittergate's no longer guarded so clearly as to make a direct assault a suicide mission, which I suppose is for the best. There'll be no peace until we destroy the foul contraption. And I so long for a bit of peace and quiet.